Hey guys, before we get started, I just wanted to say that I am so proud of you. This unit has been a tough one, and it's not easy doing it at home by yourself, especially now that we're only down to a couple weeks of school and the weather is getting nice out. So you should be proud for persevering through this unit, these topics. This is tough. So today is a tough one. So I need full concentration. All right, this is solving systems by elimination using multiplication. So the idea of last lesson is the same here. We just have an extra step. So with this, we're not going to have a coefficient of a variable that is exactly the same. But we still can make it the same, manipulate the equation so that, or maybe both equations, so that we can get the same coefficient of one variable to eliminate them. Okay, well, sounds a little complex here. So we need to first look at the equations, step one, and decide which variable we'd like to cancel. Maybe one looks easier than the other. Maybe the numbers are smaller. Sometimes they're both equally as easy or as hard, depending on which way you're looking at it. To do this, we're going to use multiplication. We're going to use the least common multiple and multiplication to make opposites. Okay, or make the coefficient the same. By opposite, I mean we want a negative and a positive so that they cancel. So we'll eliminate that variable by adding or subtracting. And then the rest of this is the same. Substitute your answer back in to solve for the opposite variable and check our work. Okay. So we've got to think about, maybe fractions, the dreaded fraction, when we had to get common denominators. This is kind of that idea. We need to find a common coefficient, just the same as how you found common denominators. So we're looking at multiples. Well, this one here shouldn't be too hard. So like I said, this is going to be equally as easy. So if I'm looking at my x, I have a 1, and here I have a 3 or a negative 3. For this part, you could really or ignore the sign, the negative, and really just think about the absolute value. So if this were to be a 3 as well, we could cancel that. Okay. Here we have our y's. We have a 4 and a 1. So again, if I can make this a 4, we can cancel those. Well, I can make this a 4 or I can make this a 3. So I have to, step one, decide which one I want to get rid of. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to decide that I want to get rid of the x. So I can make this a 3. All I have to do is take this whole equation and I'm going to multiply by 3. So when I multiply the equation by 3, I have to multiply everything by 3 using distributive property. I have to remember this guy over here. He's easy to forget about. Don't forget about our constant on the end of the equal sign. So I'm going to keep this the same. I don't need to change that one. So I'm going to leave that alone, and I'm going to multiply here. 3 times 1x is 3x. 3 times 1y is 3y. And 3 times 2 is 6. Now everything is the same as what you did in the last lesson. So hopefully you did that first. These are already opposite signs, so I add them together. That will cancel. 4 plus 3 is 7y. 15 plus 6 is 21. Divide each side by 7. Y equals 3. Okay. Just like the last lesson, now I need to substitute in my y equals 3. So I'm going to rewrite my top equation. So it doesn't matter which one you choose. You could even choose the one you made. Just be careful, because if you made a mistake here, like forgetting to move this guy, you might not catch it. So stick with the originals. look at which one looks easiest. This of course to me looks easiest. So x plus 3 equals 2. Subtract 3 from both sides. I get -1. Have a calculator with you if you're not very strong with your negatives. If this confuses you, your integers, use your calculator. Okay, now I'm going to check it. So again, the check isn't necessary. It's important though. You can do this in a calculator. I'm going to write some of it down, or I'm going to write all of it down for this one, but I will go to the calculator. So if you're frustrated with doing this work, it's taking a long time, you could plug all this into your calculator. But I'm going to check it with the opposite. Punch that in my calculator. -5x. 6 minus 6 cancels. -14. -14 minus -9. Okay, so again, I want to make sure that I don't make mistakes. I'm using my calculator. I get -5. Divide each side by -5. X is equal to a +1. I'm going to go back to my originals. right? The numbers are smaller. If I made a mistake, I might not catch it if I don't use the original. So I'm rewriting one of them. I now have 8 times x plus 3y equals negative 7. 8 times 1 is 8. I've got a 2-step, so I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. Both are negative, so I get a bigger negative there. Divide each side by 3. Y is equal to negative 5. So I'm going to write it as a coordinate here just so I don't mix it up. This is what I believe my answer is, and I'm going to check my work. So I use the opposite equation that I haven't used yet. 7 times 1 plus 2 times negative 5 equals negative 3. I'm trying to get, so what I talked about going to your calculator. So I know your calculator looks a little different, but that's okay. You could still punch it all in the same. 7 times 1 plus 2 times negative 5. I'm looking to get negative 3, and I did. I know my check is correct, so I know I did it correctly. Negative 3 is equal to negative 3. Okay, so it's up to you on how much work you want to show there on your check. Okay. All right, example 3. Okay, I've got negative 4 and 1, and 9 and negative 3. So it doesn't matter, again, which one we want to make the same. I think they're equally as easy. In most years, I kind of have the class split in half, deciding on which one they want to do. So I always tell them each to do what they want, and then we'll compare how we get the same answer in the end. Let me do this because it's a little different. So don't overlook these here. I can multiply 3 by a 3 to get to 9, right? And I can multiply 1 by 4 to get to 4. So it doesn't matter which one I choose. I'm going to go with 3. Okay, just because I want to point it out so you don't forget about that. So I've got 3 times 1, 3x, 3 times 3, 9y, equals 3 times negative 6, negative 18. Now sometimes I just work right from here, trying to ignore this middle guy, but if I rewrite the top part down here and kind of add them or subtract them in the opposite direction, that doesn't matter either. So even though this one was on first, up came first and this came second, if I flip-flop them around, I'm still going to get the same answer. All right, these are already opposite signs. All I got to do is add them, right? So it doesn't matter which way you add numbers. You're going to get the same answer here. So 3 plus a negative 4 is negative 1x. My 9's cancel. Negative 18 plus positive 9 is negative 9. No, what did I just do? Yeah, it was negative 9. I'm confusing myself. I'm going to the calculator. Negative 18 plus 9. Yes, negative 9. Divide by negative 1 equals positive 9. Going to, you know what, let's go to the bottom equation. Because again, it doesn't matter which one you choose. I think this one looks easier. Numbers are smaller. I don't know. You can still use the top, but here I'm going to plug in 9 minus 3y equals negative 6. 2-step, right? And no multiplication there. Cut out a step by using this one. Negative and a negative. I'm going to get a bigger negative here. Divide by 3, negative 3. I get positive 5. So I think my answer is 9, 5. let's check that. So now I'll check with the top since I decided to use the bottom. Negative 4x plus 9y equals 9. Negative 4 times 9 plus 9 times 5 should give me 9. Going to the calculator. I'm going to keep this, I guess, as easy as I can. So negative 4 times 9 plus 9 times 5. I want to see 9, and I did. Awesome. So I know I did that correctly. My solution, okay, 9 equals 9. It worked out for me. Okay. So looking at my variables, I'm going to ask myself, can I multiply anything by the smaller number to get to the larger number? Well, 8 times nothing gets me to 20. 2 though, 2 times nothing I can't do that either. I don't know where my mind was going just then. All right, so I have to find the least common multiple between the two. I'm going to go with my x's. Here I could get to 40, right? So I don't have to multiply 8 times 20. I could, my numbers are going to be quite large, but I could do 20 times 2 to get to 40 and 8 times 5 to get to 40, but maybe you don't see that. Here I could do times 5 to get to 10 and times 2 to get to 10. So that's what I'm going to do, because that's what I think you guys would do. Okay. All the way through, even the last one. 5 times 2 is 10. 8 times 5 is 40. And 6 times 5 is 30. And then at the bottom, all the way through, 2 times 5, negative 10. 2 times negative 20 is negative 40. And 2 times 15, negative 30. So wait a second, that's what I was talking about here and here, and it happened without me realizing it. Signs are already the opposite, so I'm just going to add them, but those cancel. Those cancel. And those cancel. I'm left with 0 equals 0. What does that mean? This is true. I hope you're thinking it. Infinite solutions, they're the same exact line. All right. So there's nothing more I could do there. I can't really check it. As you learn more about these next year, you'll understand it a little bit better if you don't see it now. All right. Infinite solutions, they're the same line. I'll put a little note there, same line. Okay. All right, 5. I've got 1 and 3. I could change this to a 3. Here, 4 times 3 is 12. I could change those to 12s. Again, we can multiply 4 times 12 and 12 times 4. This will work out. You'll get your answer. Numbers will be a little bit bigger. That's the only difference there. I'm going to go with my x's again. So I'm going to multiply. So whenever there's a 1x or a 1y, always use that one. I know up in number 3, I didn't. I wanted to show you something a little different, but I would say that this is always the easiest. Whenever you see a 1, that's the one you change. That could keep it simple. So I'm going to make this a 3. So that means the bottom one I don't have to change, so I'll leave that alone. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. Maybe you guys are already catching what I'm seeing here. 3 times 8 is 24. I'm going to subtract 3 minus 3, gone. 12 minus 12, gone. 24 minus 24 is also gone. This is true. Infinite solutions again. Same line. Okay. I think I wanted one of those to be no solutions. I don't remember making that mistake, but that's all right. So if it's true, it's infinite solutions. All right, we got a word problem and then 2 for you to try on your own. I'll tell you this right now, 6 and 7, there's going to be a solution when you do those. Okay, so they'll work out with one answer. I did do the work in advance this time, I remembered, so I will just show you the answers with all the work after you do it. So pause your video after 6 and try 6 and 7. Okay, we got our word problem. The senior classes at High School A and High School B planned separate trips to New York City. The senior class at High School A rented and filled 1 van and 6 buses with 372 students. High School B rented and filled 4 vans and 12 buses with 780 students. Each van and each bus carried the same number of students. How many students can a van carry? How many students can a bus carry? Sorry about my typo here, I just noticed that. All right, so 2 different equations. We need High School A and we need High School B. Now remember last time we talked about using variables to represent vans and buses. So I'll use V and B. If you use X and Y, we've got to do those let statements, we call them. Let X equal van, let Y equal bus. And this way it keeps you organized as well. But I'm going to use V and B because that is just, I think it's just easier to keep us organized. So High School A rented and filled 1 van, so that's 1 V, 6 buses, equaling or with 372 students. So 1 van plus 6 buses with 372 students. High School B has 4 vans, 4 V, plus 12 buses, and they've got 780 students. So we need to find how many in a van, how many in a bus. So we've got to find both V and B. Okay. Doesn't matter which one I change here. Again, I said if you ever have that 1, that's the easiest. So we'll take this and I'm going to multiply by 4. So 4V plus 4 times 6, 24B equals, I'm going to the calculator, I don't want to make any mistakes,